Hi, my name is M.K. Serwick. I am a nurse, a cartoonist, and editor of the collection Menopause, a comic treatment. I wanted to edit this collection because it didn't exist. When I first started experiencing the symptoms of perimenopause, I felt very destabilized and disoriented and uninformed despite being a nurse. And so I turned to my medium of choice for information about health, comics. I work in the field of graphic medicine, which is the intersection of comics and the discourse of health and body and how we achieve care and how we give care and how we think about our bodies and our experiences with them. And so I thought sure that there would be some great stuff in comic form about menopause. But I was disappointed. It turned out that most of what I found, the little bit that I found, was actually discouraging and demeaning and very judgmental. Women are portrayed as a huge inconvenience to the people around them. And they were also this sense of being judged by other women for not engaging in some questionable medical practices like taking your pills or having your surgery. It just felt like a new collection was needed, one that didn't treat menopause as a joke, but actually changed the conversation and provided new images and new stories and new metaphors and new ways of thinking about this experience that half of humanity will go through. Definitely the goal of this was to challenge the stigma and to gather stories that hadn't been heard. I gathered the cartoonists to do this book through two communities that I'm a part of, the graphic medicine community and the queers and comics community. And the goal was to represent a full range of experiences, of professions, ages, reasons that bodies will go through the symptoms of menopause, gender identities, sexual identities, and health states. So I wanted to have a wide range of experiences to show that this isn't a single story. There isn't a single story of a woman with hot flashes complaining. That menopause is much more complex and unexpected. And for the cartoonists who are in this collection, some of them, this is the first comic they've ever made. Others have had a long, wonderful career of making amazing art. And some of them you've heard of, and some of them you haven't. And I was hoping that perhaps this could change that, because you should know who all the cartoonists in this collection are. The other thing I want to say that's really important is that there are stories that aren't represented here, because there are many more stories to be told. And I hope that you will pick up a pen and a piece of paper and consider drawing and writing in sequential form, in comics, about your experiences, because every story deserves to be read and created and witnessed. I want to thank the contributors to this collection for their patience and their responsiveness and their willingness to be a part of it, and for the amazing stories that they brought in their beautiful style. I want to thank Penn State University Press, especially Editor-in-Chief Kendra Boileau, for believing in the possibility of this collection when it was just an idea. I hope that you'll enjoy this book. And that is enough for me. I want you to now hear from the real stars of this collection.
Hi, I'm Linda Berry. This is my comic, Menopause. I'm just going to read you the first page. Like a lot of kids, my ideas about certain things came from eavesdropping on adults like my grandma, my aunts, and their friends who were sitting around smoking and drinking coffee. So I'm listening to them, and one is saying, "You know, the doctor took out her bahay bata." Ay, nako, no. They say for some this is better. So I knew bahay is house, bata is kid. So I say to my grandma, "So she had a baby house inside of her?" "Stupido. It's not a baby house, it's the uterus." This was in the 1970s, when a record number of women underwent hysterectomy, including my mother and many of my relatives. Menopause didn't happen in a natural way for them, and everyone seemed to feel pretty good about not having a uterus, except for my grandma, who wasn't into it. She said, "God don't like it." He doesn't like hysterectomies. "God don't like it." "He don't like uterus?" "It's stupid though. God loves uterus." Sounds better in Tagalog. And then the next day I went and visited my white friends across the street and was telling them the news. And my girlfriend says, "Whose uterus?" And her mom goes, "I'd appreciate it if you did not say uterus in my kitchen."
Hi everyone, I'm Maureen Burdock and I'm so pleased to be part of this anthology. It's such a great project. I think the day that I got the email from MK asking if I'd like to contribute was also the very first day that I had had one or two hot flashes and I didn't know what to expect yet. So I was glad to have the opportunity to explore what menopause would bring in this comic. My title is Men-O-Pause, meaning not so much that we should get rid of all the men in our lives, but that it's a time where it's important to critically consider how patriarchal conditioning has affected us and how it might make us feel about getting older and no longer being of childbearing age. I am so proud to be part of this. I thank MK and thank all of you for your contributions, which I just can't wait to see. Ciao!
Hello, my name is Casey Counselor. I'm a cartoonist, and my comic called Cycles is included in the upcoming collection, Menopause, a Comic Treatment. Now, I recognize that this face right here is probably not the first thing that comes to mind when you think of menopause, and you'd be right. But I'm a trans dude, and actually have many years of bleeding under my belt, and also went through menopause when I started hormonally transitioning. So most people who go through menopause, of course, identify as women, but there are folks who are non-binary, gender non-conforming, and trans who also go through menopause. So lots of interesting things around menopause and gender. I'm very honored to be a part of this collection. Can't wait to see it.
Hi, I'm Ellen Forney. I'm so excited to see the anthology of comics about menopause. I was excited about it as soon as MK told me about it. I dug out my journal, which has the stuff that was the inspiration for my contribution. I had just written a journal entry, July 12th, 2018, about feeling really frustrated about feeling so foggy and exhausted and dropping things. And Mom went through menopause when she was 51. So, and how long does it take? And so I drew this drawing, which winds up in my comic. And at the top, it says, "Hey, gonna try to turn this into my comic for MK," which I did.
Hello, I'm Rachel House, and I'm speaking to you now from the Feminist United Crone Kindred Society headquarters, where I'm holed up during this pandemic. It's a pretty intense place to be, as you can imagine. When it's safe to do so, join us. We recruit. We want you with us. For Menopause a Comic Treatment, I've done a version of Climacteric Calamity. Not a happy story, but ultimately empowering. But now, I just want to tell you that from the other side of menopause, I've never felt so good in my body. I don't have the disconnect that I've always felt. It's a really, really good place to be. Even though some bits of my body are slightly letting me down, it's very good to be here. You'll enjoy it too. Bye.
Hi, I'm Kimiko Tobimatsu.
And I am Ike Niza.
Keat and I collaborated on a page together in Menopause, a Comic Treatment. The page shares a little bit about my experience getting cancer and dealing with the menopause that followed.
And I drew the tiny faces that illustrate Kimiko's journey through that hot flash, through a hot flash. So I hope you enjoy reading. And
Woo!
Hi, everyone. My name is Ann Fox, and I'm an English professor at Davidson College in Davidson, North Carolina. And I'm the author in this collection of #CrockpotRunner, a not finished tale of a midlife athlete. And I first want to say how honored I am to be part of this collection, since this is my first comic. And so I'm really honored to be alongside all of you, and also very grateful to MK for including me. I want to tell you a little bit about the #CrockpotRunner, which is in the title and which you'll see behind me. As you'll see in the comic, I took up running late in life, never having been an athlete, always having lived in my head as an academic. And when friends started asking me how the running was going, I said, good. And before I could think about it, the thing that came out of my mouth was, I'm kind of like a crockpot. I'm slow, but I get it cooked. And I liked that image so much of just being slow but juicily persistent that I started using the #CrockpotRunner on all my social media posts. And my friends grew to really like it. I had friends, for example, I had a friend who started calling herself the Crockpot Swimmer. I think why it appealed to people is it gave this sense that you didn't have to do things in a way that your body couldn't do. You just, do things in your own time, and you get there eventually. And it's a way of pushing back against having to always achieve something super fast and super well. And in disability studies, we even call something like that crip time. So at any rate, it's an idea that's brought me a lot of joy. It's an idea I want to share with you. I think it's an idea that's important right now in these times of pandemic and upheaval. We just keep persisting, and we will get there. And in the meantime, I send you all my best wishes and deepest admiration, and just want to tell you that I think you're all crock stars. So keep crockpotting. Bye.
Hi there, I'm Leah Jones, and I wrote the story The End is Not the End.
Hi, and I'm Kathy Leamy, and I did the artwork for the story,
which you can see behind us. You can get a glimpse. So Kathy and I met on Twitter, as all good collaborations in 2020 start, and we probably met back in 2015. I was in grad school for health communications, and a mutual friend of ours, Tony Breed, said, Leah, Kathy, you guys both talk about health communications a lot. You got to meet each other.
Yeah, one of the things that appealed to me about Leah's story was how it relied on some pretty gross medical care.
Yeah, Kathy is the only person who wanted to see the picture of my uterus on a table after it was removed from my hysterectomy. So the story that we collaborated on is a story of how at 40 years old, I was in chemical menopause to get ready for a hysterectomy, and talking about what that meant for my identity as a woman and as a Jewish woman and what it meant for Jewish ritual.
And it was such an honor and a pleasure to help bring Leah's story out into the world. I learned so much. My background is very different. I was raised Irish Catholic and got to just completely get immersed in a different culture. We hope you enjoy it, and we hope you learn a lot from it.
Awesome. Thank you. Enjoy the book.
I didn't mean to do the exact same hand. We can do opposite hands instead.
Is that opposite?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Monica. I'm a doctor, a comic artist, and a mother, and someone very fond of graphic medicine. Being part of this project has been a huge privilege. What a team. My chapter, When My Biological Clock Stopped Ticking, was really fun to do, but it also has given me the chance to reflect on this time of my life. Fertility doesn't define me. Readers, go on.
Hi, my name is Juan Mance, and the name of my comic is Any Day Now. My comic highlights the need for more gender-inclusive information on menopause. Most information that's available about menopause presumes femininity and cisgender identity. I'm very interested in using my comic to amplify the need for more inclusivity, and I also hope it makes you laugh.
I'm very happy to be included in this anthology because I've been looking forward to menopause ever since I heard about menstruation, which was clearly a design flaw. It was a long wait for liberation, but menopause turns out to include the party favor of vaginal dryness, and it happened to me at the same time that I met the man of my dreams. My comic is an ode to estriol, a bioidentical hormone that's been like the fountain of youth for my vagina. 15 years later, my sex life keeps getting better, and I never have to worry about getting pregnant. Yay, menopause!
Lee Steinberg. I'm an artist from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and my take on menopause has really changed because 2 years ago I got a hip replacement. And before the hip replacement, I couldn't walk and I was completely stiff, and I thought it was all about menopause, which is what I wrote about for this book. Since the hip replacement, I feel like I'm 25 years old, and so I'm kind of in a whole new empowered state. I'm loving it. So I went from menopause being this weird, evil thing, which it wasn't, to something that is actually quite freeing. I've been so happy to be a part of this project, and thank you, MK.
Right now, at least in the States, we are in what you could call coronapause. We're in the quarantine that comes with the coronavirus pandemic, and I and everyone I know are faced with this putting life on hold. The thing about coronapause is it's been brutal, but in a way, like menopause, it has also created the opportunity to get to know a new self. The graphic medicine community has really given me a way to get through this lockdown state and find some richness and some joy in it.
People have come up with all sorts of creative ways of keeping going, like MK's idea for this virtual book launch and these.
Oh yes, which is so nice.
Yeah, shout out to MK for putting together.
Yes, total shout out to MK and to her ability to envision something that is going to create community and create closeness in this time of being distanced and far away.
Hi, I'm Dana Walrath. I'm an Armenian-American writer, artist, and medical anthropologist. Now, my path out of academia began in 2008 when my mother and dementia moved in with me, which happened to be the moment that I also discovered the power of comics. Today, I practice a border-crossing blend of comics, visual arts, creative writing, and anthropology, and I use this toolkit to take on topics that live at the margins, things like birth and death and stigma and dementia and dehumanization and war and genocide and more. So menopause fits right in with that happy mix. The comic for this volume is called A Menopause, and it connects this very personal experience to the environmental crisis, which is fueled by unsustainable, unjust, extractive approach to nature that's rooted in centuries of white colonialist and imperialistic conquest. The pandemic and the uprising against anti-Black and brown racism have really brought into highlight just how unjust all of this is and how we have got to make changes now. And I believe that if we listen to our bodies and to our earth and to nature, we have the power within us to recreate a world that's filled with peace and with equity.
I find the best way with the hot flush is hit the sweat with the sweat. High octane dancing.